If Sada was the main character in Pokemon Violet, could she conquer the entire game? To find that out, we're gonna be playing as Sada in Violet version and using Sada's team to see if everyone's favorite professor is spicy enough to conquer and beat all of Paldea. To make things a tad bit more fun, we're gonna make sure to only play in set mode and we aren't allowed to heal during battles, with our main goals being to complete the whole game and of course capture Sada's team. So if you're ready, let's go. Not exactly the same look, but close enough for now. We'll fix that later. Wait, I have a mother? I thought it was an artificial AI created by a woman in her late 30s to deal with a midlife crisis. Alright, time for a starter. All of these are pure garbage. Take them all and shove them right inside of a Garbodor. I demand
a Fluttermane, you foolish man.
Alright, wow, great, look at that. I'm glad we could come to an understanding, Mr. Clavel. Alright, time to show Nimona who's her mommy. Actually, wait, that's kind of weird to say. Doesn't matter. We start with a Confuse Ray, and then it's mostly just spamming Astonish and eventually defeating her Quaxly, so an easy battle to start things off. Alright, that was as much fun as having a sleepover party with a Snorlax. I think it's about time we left this place and got the party on the road. Guess not. Hello, mother. I will gladly accept your sandwich. I do hope you included some mayo in there.
Or else, woman.
After defeating some quick and kind of poor little twerps, we give Fluttermane Psybeam, as it will be far stronger with that move, of course, with the stab on it. Ooh, what's down there? No! Wait a minute, you remind me of a friend I had in a past life. Alright, big guy, I don't want to die. How about, whoa! I guess that works as well. Alright, about time we made it past this place. Oh boy, never mind, here comes another one. Oh wait, Arvin, son, is that? Oh shit, you aren't his mom yet. You have time traveled, so don't say anything. Hey, you son of a bitch! Why are you in my way? You want to fight? So we have a quick battle against Arvin where we take down his poor little squirrel in about 2 Psybeams. And so our journey finally takes off, as now we can explore. And instead of exploring, we just head straight to Mesagosa, where Nimona is waiting to give us our second rival battle. This doesn't end up being much of a difficult battle, given that Nimona's Quaxly doesn't stand much of a chance against our Fluttermane's Psybeam spam. And same goes for Palmy, that stands no chance even with its terrestrialization. Wow, look at Mesagosa, and I'm bored. When are we going to Area 0? Ooh, I guess it's time to fix our looks, and that looks a lot better than before. Alright, guess we can deal with these guys, easy peasy, not a problem whatsoever, but can I please leave this place? I require
sustenance.
We then head over and pick up all the different paths that we have to complete. We have a total of 18 badges to collect, so it's about time we get the show on the road. Also, I'm not much of a fan of you. You kind of look like the off-brand Walmart version of my Pokemon. Now that we're out and about, we need to get ourselves to the first gym location in Cortondo, where we'll find KATY and her team of bug types. First, however, we gotta push a giant bean. This seems kind of beneath me. Alright, KATY, you made me roll a giant olive. It's about time I get your gym badge. Let's go. Well, this battle didn't really go as planned. We made great progress against KATY's first 2 Pokemon, Nimble and Tarantula. However, the terrestrialized teddy bear Teddy Urza deleted us. So some quick leveling is necessary, and then it's time to go for round 2, ladies and gentlemen. A double Psybeam takes down the Nimble, and same goes for Tarantula. We even got the confusion there, which was perfect. So now we have a lot of HP left going into the Teddy Urza battle. And all I'll say was more or less pure luck here. The Psybeam on Teddy Urza causes it to also get confused. And after spamming a few times, just when we're in a risky spot against the Teddy Urza, it hurts itself in confusion, and we finish it off, giving us our first gym badge and our first victory. Now that we have our first gym badge, I guess it's about time we found our first Titan. Ooh, and guess what? We'll be catching one of these big boy fellas over here. See, Sada lost one of these guys in Scarlet as it escaped the Area 0 lab, so hey, we might as well have one with us for fun. I really do hope this guy doesn't escape from me like the other fellow did.
Or else.
So we find a giant cloth, but we have no trouble whatsoever to defeat it. In a very short amount of time, we do it. And guess what? That means we have ourselves our first victory against a Titan. And hey, what are you doing eating my sandwich, you hunk of metal? And guess what? Since we are in Artisan, I guess we should also battle Brassius. But first we gotta collect all these darn Sunflora. I could probably make sunflower oil from you little weirdos. That's pretty much all you're good for anyways. Oh, hey, look, it's the Flying Dutchman. So against Brassius, we don't have to spend too much time as the battle ends up being relatively easy. The Petalilli and Smoliv fall very fast, and the wannabe grass-type Sudowoodo doesn't stand up much of a chance against us either. Think, Sudowoodo, think! Do you really think you could ever be a true grass-type, you fool? And there it is, we have our second gym badge. So just another, oh my dear lord, 15 more of these guys to beat. I'm gonna just, Okay, Big Bird, you're next, and wow, I really thought I could beat this giant thing. Guess not. We're gonna have to get back to you a bit later. So instead, we head over to Team Star's Fire Squad base to deal with some of these ruffians instead. Speaking of which, now that we've visited Spain and even France in the Pokemon regions and games, what part of the world do you think they should base Generation 10 games on? Let me know in the comments. Alright, so we can't battle the Fire Squad just yet, since we need another Pokemon to be able to actually do the challenge inside the base, so it's about time we catch a proper team since Great Tusk is just here because we force him to be. Oh hey look, if it's not Sandy Shocks, who will end up becoming one of our strongest Pokemon and most useful teammates throughout this whole challenge. And a few levels later, we're about to be battling the Fire Squad Captain Mela, who makes the mistake of using Sunny Day against us with her Torkoal. FYI, every one of the past forms from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have the ability Prothosynthesis, which boosts the user Pokemon's most proficient stat if it is in harsh sunlight, or if the Pokemon is holding a booster energy essentially, giving us a free buff every time sunlight makes itself appear. So this is perfect. If you have Sunny Day, it just boosts our Pokemon. Either way, after a bit of work, Torkoal is gone, and all that remains is to dispatch of the Shedder Starmobile with Sandy Shocks. And so, we have now gotten ourselves another badge towards the completion of this journey. Alright, now that we're a lot stronger, it's about time we dealt with that big Bombardier who whooped us earlier, and with the help of Sandy Shocks, this one ends up being nothing more than a walk in the park. Like seriously, one of the easiest battles. I mean, we do have the type advantage, so that's probably why. After 2 fast Thunder Shocks followed by some help of Arbon, we're easily able to beat our second Titan in this journey, which allows us to now swim around on this hunk of metal. Okay, so the most logical next thing to do is to take on the Dark Crew and their base. First, we deal with the very fashionable grunts outside of the base, before we use the help of our Pokemon to defeat the 30 Pokemon inside of there. Then it's time for our lads to take on the leader of the Dark Crew, Giacomo. See, Fluttermane doesn't end up doing a lot against the Pawniard, so we switch in Sandy Shocks, who can much easier take down the Pawniard with a Thunder Shock. As for the second Starmobile, we're able to take it down after a while as well, with some help of our whole squad, giving us our second victory against Team Star's crew. And hey, since we're close to Levincia City, we might as well get ourselves over there for another gym badge against, Iono. So we do her little puzzles and of course defeat all her little fanboys. Then it's time to battle Iono herself, aka the worst streamer in the world of Pokemon. First out is Wattrel, which we defeat with the help of Fluttermane and Psybeams. Next we have Bellibolt, the thick boy, who unfortunately sends Fluttermane to the Shadow Realm, leaving us with Great Tusk and Sandy Shocks. So, a bulldoze later, and Bellibolt is gone, leaving us a free victory against Luxio, which means only her, Miss Mother freaking Magius, is left, y'all. So we do some quick rollouts with Great Tusk, and guess what? We've defeated Iono and given us our third gym badge. After a quick conversation with Geta, we tell her to get out of here, and we head over to Cascafara, where the gym leader decided that buying fish and spices is more important than doing his actual job. Oh, and you're giving me his wallet? My god, I could use his cash to build a time machine. I always wanted to do that. Once we reach Kofu, the Cascafaran gym leader, his grunt forces us into a battle where Sandy and Fluttermane get to shine as they destroy his team, and yeah, that's pretty much all that happens in this moment. Then we simply go and buy some overpriced and frankly kind of scammy Hoenn spices from a guy that doesn't look trustworthy at all to me. After buying that for Kofu, we need to battle him, but oh, wait a minute. Where did our Great Tusk go? I guess he escaped, just like the other one did? Gosh darn it. Oh, well, it's about time we got a proper new teammate added to the team, so instead we capture ourselves Brute Bonnet, which will be one of the best teammates possible to have against Kofu, and just in general, given that it has the grass and dark type combo, and looks oddly similar to some mushrooms from a previous journey. Now, however, it's time for Kofu, the water-type gym leader. He starts things off against us with his Veluza, so I make sure to go for the electric terrain, which boosts the use of all electric-type moves for about 5 turns. However, this doesn't really end up meaning much, given the fact that, well, his Veluza destroys Sandy Shocks before we can even take it down with another Thunder Shock. And the same almost befalls our friend Fluttermane as well, but with 2 Astonishes, we take down the Veluza. Against the sketchiest looking Pokemon, Wugtrio, it's just a weird thing, our friend Fluttermane survives barely and has a little bit of health left against the hits, but it takes about 2 water pulses for our buddy to finally fall, leaving the rest of the job to be done by our friend and new comrade, Brute Bonnet. But unfortunately, he falls against the Crabominable as well. So we lost the battle, which is unfortunate, but we will be returning after some leveling, and that's exactly what we do. But this time we make sure that Brute Bonnet is up first, as it will work perfectly and take down both Veluza and Wugtrio using its grass-type moves, and that's exactly what it does, leaving the final Pokemon, Crabominable, to be defeated with a combo of Psybeams and Thunder Shocks from both Sandy and Fluttermane. And so we got ourselves another gym badge, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, we have 3 Pokemon in the team, but how how about we make that 4 as we find Screamtail to add to our team. And oh boy, I do hope there are no Sharpies around here for this thing to use. Alright, now I guess it's time we head to the desert and wait, is that? No. Huh, you look similar to this one friend we used to have, except you look more like an RTX graphics card. So I guess Turo is really bad at keeping track of his Pokemon as they seem to escape from Area 0. Clearly, I'm the superior professor. Alright, but seriously though, it's about time we take this big guy down, and we sort of have to rely on our whole team for this one, as Iron Threads is quite difficult to actually take down, and now that our Pokemon levels are higher and we are overall stronger. But nonetheless, with the help of Arven, we finish things up and get ourselves another Herba Mystica sandwich that the giant metal husk is going to eat. God, I hate you. Now that we've dealt with all this stuff, I think it's about time we shrink the number of Team Star members a little bit more. And so we head over to the Poison Crew, which is going to fall to our sword next. We sweep through their grunts and defeat those 30 Pokemon. And next, it's time to battle their leader, Atticus. That looks like a very unfortunate Naruto villain reject. Either way, Skuntank is out first against our buddy Screamtail, so we spam several Ice Fangs and eventually take down the Skuntank. Next, however, is Muck, that pretty much demolishes our boy Screamy, so we have to put in Sandy Shocks, which takes down the Muck in about 2 hits, and the same goes for Revavroom that falls after a single Bulldoze hit, leaving only the Starmobile left for us to actually, well, deal with, which, thanks again to Sandy Shocks and a large amount of Bulldozes, we finally do. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the Poison Crew reaches their end. Alright, it's about time we take on the Medali Gym, where our best buddy Larry is waiting for us. God, I miss those eyes, with the lack of a soul in them. And I'll be honest, most battles up until now have been relatively difficult, but this battle against Larry was, the easiest one. Oh my lord! Well, not really, but you'll see why it's quote-unquote easy. So we flinch his Komala so many bloody times using our friend Screamtail and Ice Fangs that he couldn't do much more than put our Screamtail to literal sleep. And then against his Dun-Dun-Sparse, we're able to fire off a double Ice Fang, but he paralyzes us and hits us with some Hyper Drills, and we're taken down by his Dun-Dun-Sparse. It's a really difficult name. We switch in Fluttermane, but we get paralyzed again, and also fall to the multiple uses of Drill Run. Brute then takes out what is left of Dun-Dun-Sparse with a Mega Drain, leaving us with 2 Pokemon left, but Larry only has 1. And it's, of course, Staraptor. Speaking of which, did you guys realize that Larry using a flying type in Staraptor is actually a hint towards his typing on his whole team for when he is the Elite Four? But more about that later. We managed to do some damage with Brute Bonnet against Staraptor, but eventually his aerial aces get to us and we have to switch in our final teammate, Sandy. No, not that Sandy. This Sandy. Yeah, correct. There you go. Okay, this battle with Sandy was the pure work of RNG and luck, because we go for Thundershock first, hoping it will do enough damage to take down this Staraptor extremely fast, but unfortunately, that is not exactly what ends up happening. And after being hit by a Facade, I was so scared we'd be flinched again in this case, so we decided to go for Tri-Attack, and oh baby, this is where things went so good for us, as we get the Burn Hacks, ladies and gentlemen, meaning that we have, with that like last 3 to 4 HP on that Staraptor left, it just won't survive the tick damage from the burn, giving us another gym battle victory against none else than Larry himself. Oh wow, Nimona, it's you, and get out of here, Geta. You want to battle? I'd prefer not to. Okay, so you roped me into this again. Why? Why do you always do this? Well, it's not the end of the world, but we do end up losing this battle against Nimona, so instead of crying in a corner like I'd like to do, we're instead gonna head for the next challenge. So we make our way up to the mountains to our next gym battle, and as you may have noticed at this point, we're not following the accurate path for this game. There is actually a way you can play the game to follow it correctly with the gyms and everything, but we're kind of doing it a little bit our own way. So, Montenevera Gym, here I come. Hey, and Shaggy tells us we gotta do some double battles, so we go ahead and dispatch some insignificant traders, including Shaggy himself. Row, Shaggy. But before we take on and battle Rhyme, we gotta make sure we do some leveling, and oh look, it's Slitherwing, so we might as well add this bug fighting type to our team, as it will also give us that beautiful fighting typing, which will be super useful later down the line, so just remember that. Now it's time for Rhyme, and we lose our friend Fluttermane right off the bat, cause both her Banette and Mimikyu target our poor little thing. Oh, don't worry, Fluttermane. Oh, mommy loves you. All right, time to take revenge for Fluttermane's demise using Brute Bonnet with the payback against the Bayonet, taking it down, and a Thundershock from Sandy does a decent chunk of damage against the Mimikyu. Houndstone comes out next, and we also take a hit from Mimikyu using Slash, so we defeat it, but next up though, Rhyme sends out Toxtricity, and her Houndstone is also using Phantom Force, so we can't really hit it against us, so we miss our payback against it. And oh boy, Hyper Voice plus Terrestrialization comes in from Rhyme on the Toxtricity, which defeats Sandy Shocks, but our payback hits the Houndstone and defeats it right off the bat with like pretty much a single hit. So we switch in Screamtail, and of course our friend Brute Bonnet is here with the payback, and the Bite combo from Scream is enough to take down the Toxtricity. Ladies and gentlemen, we get TM 114 Shadow Ball, which will come in handy later on, I think, and we make our way around the mountain, because guess what? We have 2 more gym badges to go. Next up is going to be none else than Grusha, the Ice-type leader with some sick snowboarding skills, y'all. But first, we get stopped by Nemona, who wants to battle us again, and then pretty much more or less demolishes us again with the help of her
Thick
bird. All right, now it's about time we take on a proper challenge against the 7th gym, the penultimate gym for Sada to defeat. First, we do some sick snowboarding down this slope, and then we take on Grusha, who sends out a Frostmoth first. Now, we have our friend Slitherwing out first with the low sweep, as ice types don't stand much of a chance against fighting types. Next comes Beartick, which unfortunately we can't outspeed as it hits our friend Slitherwing with an Icicle Crash, forcing us to put in Sandy, who takes an Icicle Crash to the face and barely does any damage with Bulldoze. And just when we think our speed's in our favor, the Beartick uses Aqua Jet, which gives it a +1 priority, and with Sandy having a weakness against water-type moves, we stand no chance against this hit. So we send out Fluttermane that has Shadow Ball and some incredible luck because Beartick misses its Icicle Crash, and we're allowed to hit it with 2 Shadow Balls, taking it out for now. Next up though is Titan, which comes out and we're able to do quite a tad bit of damage to it using Shadow Ball, but Ice Spinner takes down Fluttermane, leaving us with Screamtail and Brute Bonnet to go. Now, we use Play Rough and take down the Titan, and oh boy, the final Pokemon is Altaria, but unfortunately for this Altaria, it decided to be a Dragon type at birth, which means it's about to eat some fairy dust, if you catch my drift. Actually, it ends up instead actually making us eat some fairy dust, and it defeats our boy Scream, so that means we have to switch over to Brute Bonnet. But good thing for us is we're able to do relatively decent amount of damage to it already, so Brute Bonnet only needs to get a payback plus the luck to avoid the hurricane, and ladies and gentlemen, that's enough to defeat this gym leader and give us our 7th gym badge. And oh boy. Hi there, Rika and Short Human. I ain't really got time for you guys. I gotta run. All right, so we're on the hunt for something that's referred to as a giant worm, so keep your eyes out. My dear lord, I may need to censor this thing or else you might get the wrong ID. Okay, so a single leg sweep and some help from Marvin, and this thing is already defeated, meaning we only have 1 more Titan Pokemon to deal with, but lord, this thing is just wow. All right, time to make it over to the last gym leader battle. But before we do that, we should capture ourselves another and final Pokemon to add to the team. None else than Roaring Moon, a dragon dark type that will add that final hard-hitting power to our team. So welcome to the squad, buddy. And then we do some really awkward yoga, and it's time to take on the final gym battle. Oh, hi there. Why are you ignoring me?
You will pay for this.
Tulip is probably my least favorite gym leader this generation, and as such, I, Sada, must destroy her pretty little face.
I'm the superior woman.
Alright, we start by having Slitherwing one-hit KO her Farigiraf with Lunge. Against her next Pokemon, Gardevoir, we're able to do a decent chunk of damage with Lunge, but eventually her Psychics and outspeeding by the Gardevoir catches up to us and we lose Slitherwing. So Fluttermane comes in with the Shadow Ball to finish off Gardevoir. And same goes for the Espathra, which falls to a one-hit KO Shadow Ball, which makes sense given its typing is pure Psychic, and of course has massive weaknesses to Ghost-type moves. And oh boy, it is almost a true sweep here coming in for Fluttermane, as we 2-hit her Terrestrialized Florges with Shadow Ball and complete our victories. And so we also received the final gym badge. You know, I could melt all these gym badges down and make a time machine, huh? Well, no time for that. Hey, Arvin, where's the final one at? Yo, who lost their sushi? Oh, my dear lord. Did you just eat that poor little guy? Well, guess what, Dodonzo, you also have to eat some of these Shadow Balls from Fluttermane and some quick trailblazing from a buddy Brute Bonnet. And hey, where are you going? Who said you could swim away? Oh, hey, Arvin.
Hey, Arvin, you gotta come over here, man. He ate our sushi. We gotta deal with this guy.
Alright, gotcha, man.
It doesn't take long for me and Arvin to defeat this big boy and... Oh, hey, look, the little guy wasn't eaten.
You'll make for a nice meal.
And so, our final Titan battle comes to an end. We can now climb the many mountains of the Paldea region, if we need to. And hey, look, Arben's Mabustiff is on its legs. I wonder if I can use its soul to summon Pokemon from the past. Uh-oh. Sada, take a step back here. We're going down into those dark thoughts again, but just maybe. So, we have just 2 more challenges before we can take on the Elite Four, Champion, and the Underground Secret Base with the creepy crawlers. So, we head over to the Fairy Crew grounds to take down what should be one of the easier battles. First, we meet Clive, wink wink. Then it's time to battle this place, but first we are also forced to deal with Mr. Harrington, so we give him a taste of our power. 2 lunges from Slitherwing and his Morgrem falls to us, and his Hatchream doesn't fare much better as we hit it with a single lunge. So step aside, old man, we have some business to conduct inside of this base.
I must purge the city.
We beat the 30 Pokemon in the base, and next this time we battled Ortega, their leader. So, we have Brute Bonnet out, and Ortega uses Azumarill and goes for Bounce, but misses against us, which is perfect. Since we have the type advantage against this Fairy type, we ourselves go for Mega Drain, which wasn't the best choice, but yeah, it's kind of a mistake. We should have gone for Trailblaze here instead, because it would have just done more damage, which doesn't do enough, and guess what? Azumarill also paralyzes us, and this ends up being the biggest mistake, as it gets our Pokemon killed at this point. So, we have to switch over to Sandy Shocks, who uses Volt Switch to defeat the Azumarill, and gives us a nice opportunity to switch in a different Pokemon instead against the Wigglytuff, and we decide to go for Roaring Moon, which is honestly just a throwaway, since Roaring Moon is our weakest Pokemon in this specific battle, so we just use some Flamethrower on it to do some quick damage on Wigglytuff before our little friend perishes. Sorry, buddy. We switch in Screamtail instead and spam a ton of Ice Fangs and Play Roughs to take down the Wigglytuff. Next is Dashboon, and here we get lucky with an Ice Fang that freezes the Dashboons, giving us an opportunity to dish out a ton of damage before this thing thaws out and takes down Screamtail. Fluttermane comes in and ends Dashboon's misery with a quick Shadow Ball, and all that remains is the Ruchbach Starmobile, which we hit with 1 Shadow Ball before our friend Fluttermane falls, and we switch in Slitherwing, hoping we could get at least a little bit of damage done to it, which doesn't really work out. So our final Pokemon, Sandy Shocks, the MVP, has to come in and finish things up with a few Volt Switches. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I, Sada, have conquered the Fairy Squad. Alright, Cassiopeia, I've done your assassinations. Where's my money? Oh wait, never mind. Just 1 more of these guys left to take out. Cool, let's get it done. Northern Province, here we come. It's about time we take down this last boss. Alright, Clive, I've had enough of your stuff. Give me access to this facility. After running around with the grunts for a bit, our Pokemon are ready to take on Eri, the leader of the fighting crew. Slitherwing stands not much of a chance against her Toxicroak, so we send in Fluttermane, who 1 hits with Psybeam, taking out the Toxicroak. Next, however, is Annihilate, which we do a lot of damage to with Psybeam, but not enough to defeat it right away, and then we fall to a single Rage Fist that comes down our path. So we send out Roaring Moon instead, who does a chunk of damage with Breaking Swipe, but we only survive at a bare minimum 9 HP. We're so lucky, and guess what? The luck is even more on our side, because we outspeed, and this comes in clutch as we hit the second Breaking Swipe to defeat this steroided up monkey. Passimian comes out next and hits us with the close combat. Before that, we get a Flamethrower in to do some chip damage, which isn't really the smartest, to be honest. Screamtail uses Play Rough against the Passimian and defeats it. Lucario is next, and I honestly expected to be hit by a Bullet Punch, which would have likely taken us out with a single hit. However, lucky for us, her Lucario only knows Dragon Pulse, Aura Sphere, and Dark Pulse, and she decided to just spam us with a ton of Dark Pulses, which allows us to take out the Lucario, leaving only 1 more Pokemon on Aries' team. Only the Calf Starmobile left in our way. We hired the expertise of Sandy Shocks to defeat this big boy, and with some Volt Switches here and there, we have now completed all the Star Boss battles. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We've swooped through all these bad boys. All that remains now is to find Clavel. Clive. I have some stern talking to do with him. So we reach Clavel at the Yuva Academy, and we have our fated battle once and for all. And this battle starts off so freaking good for us, as we 1-hit KO Clavel's Oranguru and his Abomasnow, which is a great way to kick off this whole thing. However, his next Pokemon out is none else than Gyarados, and here our friend Slitherwing takes big damage from the Aqua Tail, so since we knew we couldn't do a lot of pure damage, we instead go for Poison Powder against the Gyarados. Then another Aqua Tail comes and Slitherwing is down and out, so we switch in Sandy Shocks and only get 1 hit in which is needed for us to take down the Gyarados. And as we pop off our Volt Switch, we are able to switch into Flutter Mane, which is perfectly going to go up against a Poltegeist. Also, ever thought about the fact that Poltegeist is literally a weird little, like, wizard man in a teapot? Huh, I don't know. Either way, after 2 Shadow Balls, the Poltegeist is gone and out. Among Us, sorry, no, not that one. I meant Among Us, comes out next, so we Shadow Ball it, but it also hits us with the Hex, and with Burn on us, we don't stand much of a chance, very much a little chance here, of having Flutter Mane end this battle. So instead, Sandy Shocks comes in, and pretty much just hits it with the Bulldoze, and we win this battle for us. However, his last Pokemon is Skeledirge, which is kind of funny, but did you guys actually know that the starter Pokemon in Legends Arceus had the typings of the Hisuian form final evolutions as a hint towards the typing of the Paldean starter evolutions? To give you an example, Skeledirge is a fire and has a ghost typing on it. Quaquaval is water and fighting type, and then there is Meowscarada, which has grass and dark type. And in Hisui, the Hisuian Decidueye has a secondary fighting type, Hisuian Typhlosion has a secondary ghost type, and of course Samurott has a secondary dark typing. Kind of a cool way for them to hint towards the typings of the Paldean starters. Either way, back to our battle. Sandy has been able to do some damage to the Skeledirge, however after 2 Bulldozes he finally falls to Skeledirge, and now we have to send out Brute Bonnet, which does basically no damage with payback, so instead we send in Screamtail to finish this off. And we go ahead and spam Bite several times, and each time we make the Skeledirge flinch, with only the 2 last bites not doing it, which at that point didn't really matter because we only took a little bit of damage. And hey, Clavel, now I want to
Harvest your soul for my time machine.
So against, of course, Penny, we go with Slitherwing out first against her Umbreon, who uses Baby Doll Eyes, but we keep spamming Lunge multiple times until we defeat it. Then comes Flareon in next, and before we can use our Low Sweep, we get taken down by a Flame Wheel and Outspeed. So Sandy Shocks come in instead with the double Bulldoze before we Volt Switch, so that we can also put in a different Pokemon against her Vaporeon, which really wasn't that necessary, but always good to do. Unfortunately for our friend Flutter Mane, after 2 Shadow Balls, the power of Vaporeon stops it right in its tracks. So Brute comes in with a Trailblaze to put Vaporeon in its place. Leafeon offers us a challenge, and we can't do much against it when its X-Scissor comes in and Brute has to take that fat L. But Ice Fang from Screamtail is powerful enough to defeat the Leafeon. For Jolteon, our buddy Scream is not strong enough and falls, so in comes a Roaring Moon to break the kneecaps of this Jolteon. Sylveon is finished by Sandy Shocks, and now that we're done here, you guys can figure out all your weird shit, because I'd like to go and deal with my own stuff, like taking on the Elite Four. Alright, buddy, get out of my way. I got a business to conduct in here. Oh, wow, we actually finished the quiz in one try. My brain is so massive. Okay, time for the Elite Four member, Rika, who specializes in Ground-type Pokemon. First up is Rika's Whiscash that our buddy Sandy doesn't stand much of a chance against. So, after he falls, we send in Brute with the Trailblaze to take it down. Camerupt comes out against us now, and that thick camel boy puts Brute to sleep with Yawn, which is kind of annoying because we already hit him with 2 paybacks, and 1 more would have been enough to take him down. So a Shadow Ball from Flutter Mane sends him on his way to the infirmary, but the Donphan comes out next, and wow, you again remind me of an old friend of ours. Well, unfortunately, Donphan does take Flutter Mane down, so Screamtail comes in instead with the Play Rough, and there it is, Donphan is gone. And now we have to deal also with the Sausage Party Dog Trio as well, but that one also gets Play Roughed down to the bottom. And oh my god, it's Clodsire, the chunkiest boyo in the world! To defeat this chunky boy, we will need Slitherwing, who comes in kicking and flying with the Lunge, which after 2 hits and a single Earthquake from Clodsire is enough to give us our first Elite Four victory. Now, just another 3 to go. Oh lord, it's the short human who specializes in steel types, also known as Poppy. Time to battle her. First out is Copperaja, who we defeat with 2 low sweeps, but it did also do a lot of damage to our Slitherwing, so when Corviknight comes out next, we're able to do a tiny amount of damage with an Outspeed low sweep, but we fall to a Brave Bird, and after that, needing Roaring Moon to come in instead. After doing some Dragon Claws and Flamethrowers, it's still not enough to defeat the Corviknight, so yeah, my boy just kind of falls out. Not the best, but it's fine. We instead switch into Sandy Shocks with the single Thunder Shock takes down Corviknight. Next is Bronzong, who comes out, and here we Volt Switch to use Screamtail with Bite to defeat it, but it's not enough to just flinch it once, and we have to send in Flutter Mane instead with a few Shadow Balls to finish the job. And same goes for the Magnezone that comes out and it takes 2 Shadow Balls to its face. or whatever that thing it has is. Tinkerton is her ace and also one of the newest Pokemon, and of course, she terrestrializes it, but it's not a issue as we simply just hit it with a Shadow Ball and then let Sandy Shock finish it up with a Bulldoze, giving us our second Elite Four victory. And oh boy, here we go, it's time to battle him, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Sleeping Gary. Sorry, I mean Larry. He uses flying types now instead of normal types, and that's what I mentioned previously in this run, and starts with a Tropius. So we go for a Volt Switch and also eat up a Solar Beam. But it's fine as Tropius used Sunny Day. Our ability Photosynthesis, of course, activates when this happens. So when Roaring Moon comes out, it comes out swinging and firing off a flamethrower that the Tropius can handle the heat of. And for Altaria, it's a one-hit KO for us with the Breaking Sweep. As for Oricorio, we take a few Icy Winds from it and somehow survive it, only for us to hit it with multiple Breaking Swipes to give us another victory. And all that remains is a terrestrialized Flamigo that we defeat with the power of friendship and 12 cc's of Shadow Balls. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, our third victory against Elite Four, leaving only one to go before the champion. And finally, we have Hassel, who is a hassle to battle. Yes, I just said that. Deal with it. He sends out Noivern, so we Volt Switch into Fluttermane, who can't be hit by its Dragon Pulse, and then we defeat it with a single Shadow Ball. Haxorus takes a Shadow Ball to the cranium as well, but does defeat us using Iron Head, so our boy Fluttermane is gone. Now comes Brute though, and he almost defeats the Haxorus, but it's just not enough, so Sandy has to finish it up. As for Dragalge and Flapple, they both get play roughed to death by Screamtail, leaving only one more Pokemon to go, aka Baxcalibur, who we send our whole team on until it's defeated, when finally Roaring Moon takes it down and gives us our final Elite Four victory. And now it's time to get out of here to battle Geta. Alright, so her team is relatively simpler than most champions. She kicks off with a Aspathra, and this thing is pure, psychic type. So we just hit it one time with Fluttermane, and that's pretty much it. Next is King Gambit, and here we don't stand much of a chance, and after a single hit from it, we are donezo. So Slitherwing comes out instead, and with one hit from the low sweep, gives us a leg up on Geta. Next, however, is her Go-Goat. So given its grass typing, we go for Lunge since it's, well, a bug type move, and we get the one-hit KO against it. For her Veluza, we use our buddy Brute again, who hits it with two Trailblazers. We had to switch it in here, so it was a little bit of HP loss, but it's fine. And with her Avalugg, we get a single close combat off before it defeats us. So yeah, it is what it is, I guess. Instead, Slitherwing comes back in again and hits with a single leg sweep to remove Avalugg from this continent. And now only Glimora remains and actually hits us with a Dazzling Gleam, which is kind of annoying. So we send in Sandy Shocks with the Earth Power, and baby oh baby, we get the defeat against it, which means we now officially become a champion of the Paldea region as well. Oh, never mind, I forgot. We still have to battle Nemona, don't we? My dear lord. So, the battle against Nemona is about to kick off, and I'm gonna be honest, this was actually a hard one. We ended up losing it like twice, so we had to redo it. This time around, though, what we do is we go for Roaring Moon out first, and we Dragon Dance 2 times, and this is really necessary because, well, guess what? We're going to be able to sweep most of our team with just this. However, she goes with the Stealth Rock on her Lycanroc, which is a little bit problematic if we do need to do any switch-ins, but it doesn't matter. Like I said, we're doing that double Dragon Dance, which is going to boost our attack and our speed, which will make us much more powerful going in right now. However, they do hit us there with, I think, the Stone Edge, but once we get our Dragon Claw off, it's a one-hit KO. Remember, we have 2 times increased everything now, so the Palmet is gone, same thing with the Lycanroc, and even the Dunsparce here, we get really lucky that he misses the Dragon Rush, like super, super lucky. But we get the second Dragon Claw in, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're down to the Goodra now, and the Goodra gets also one-hit KO'd by the Dragon Claws. That's about 4 Pokemon, with only one of our teammates here. However, against the big worm boy, Orthworm, it doesn't end up working in our favor. We didn't do enough damage to one-hit KO, so we have to switch over to Slitherwing, who goes for a low sweep, which is enough to defeat the Orthworm. However, do remember, there is still one more Pokemon in here that's going to be a bit more complicated. It is Quaquaval. However, we do use our friend here, Brute Bonets, with the Trailblaze, which is almost just enough to defeat it. However, we do end up using Volt Switch on our friend Sandy Shocks, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We've completed the Victory Road journey as Sada, which is a very nice, but it's not the end though. We still have a few things we need to get done. One of those things is, for example, is go and meet up with Arvin. So, once we meet up with them, we explore and we discover, ooh, lab, science. Well, that's not important though. We talk to Turo and we're told to head over to Area 0. I wonder what's going on down there. Either way, once doing that, Arvin challenges us to a a battle. He goes out with Graden first, and in this case, we go out with Roaring Moon against, because I've realized Roaring Moon is really freaking strong. So we Dragon Dance a few times, and then we just go for a bunch of Dragon Claws. However, it ends up dying later on, so we have to switch over to Brute Burnett to handle the Garnacle, and then we also switch over again and do the same thing with Villain, which is not spicy enough to defeat us, because we hit it twice and it is gone, ladies and gents. However, who's left in his team at this point? Well, he also has a weird-looking freaking Tentacruel, so we get that with a single lunge after using Bulk Up. So, really good, by the way. Love Slitherwing. Definitely one of my personal favorite Pokemon from this generation. And 2 more lunges coming in against the Cloyster, defeat that too, leaving only Mabustiff to be finished off with a low sweep right there. So, ladies and gents, we pretty much swept through his team pretty easily with about 2 or 3 of our Pokemon. So, Arvin, you've been defeated. Well, good luck, buddy. I'll see you next time. Either way, we head over and it's time to enter Area 0. Now, this is the place where all the bad stuff's going down, and of course, where our time machine is located. We do need to time travel that. But that's besides the point. We talked to the fellows, to the fellowship of, I guess, don't really know what to call this, not the fellowship of the ring, it doesn't make any sense. Either way, ladies and gents, we find some of the different Pokemon that are at the bases. First up is the Glamora. Of course, we do end up battling it, but it's not that big of a deal. It's a pretty easy Pokemon to defeat at this point, as our team is pretty much maxed out in terms of levels, and, you know, we've done pretty well so far. So, we defeat it in no time, and then we run into this thing. You don't look like a Screamtail to me. I mean, we are playing Pokemon Violet version and not Scarlet, but still, I prefer my old Pokemon. You look very robotic for my taste. Either way, after that one, we also run into something else. A fellow that you guys may remember from the past. Well, it's the cousin of our boy Great Tusk. Either way, once we've dealt with him too, it's about time we get our way down to the bottom of the base, because there is some stuff we need to do down there that's a little bit more important than dealing with these little areas. So, once we make it to the bottom, we find none else than the Professor Turo. So, hey Turo, what's up, buddy? I know you've been building a time machine and you're just an AI, just like me, but how about we chill? Never mind, he wants to battle me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so this battle is quite something. It is the final battle in the game, it is the boss battle. I've got to say, mad props to Game Freak for making something this epic. So, it's about time that Sada takes on Turo, and this honestly would be the sickest battle ever if it was a real canon thing. So, here it is. He kicks us off right off the bat with, of course, his Iron Moth. Now, we go for Psychic Fang twice here with our boy Screamtail, which is enough to defeat it, which is perfect because that leads us into his next Pokemon, which is going to be Iron Hands. And this one we defeat with an Earth Power coming in from Sandy Shocks, which means he's down now to about, what, like 4 Pokemon? Same thing for Iron Thorns. This thing is super weak against the Earth Power, so we defeat that too. And honestly, it's one of the coolest Pokemon, by the way. Like, that thing looks sick. Iron Bundle is also taken down with, I think, a Volt Switch, so he's only got really about 2 or 3 Pokemon left at this point. We switch over into Roaring Moon at this, instance, and we actually do go for Dragon Dance, I think twice, to defeat the Iron Jugulis. Which is a weird name, by the way. I get that it's got some meaning to it, but it's just weird. Nonetheless, we go for Night Slash on the Iron Valiant. However, it doesn't do enough damage, and the Spirit Break comes in and takes us down, which is a cool move, by the way. Gotta be honest. Either way, we do end up eventually defeating it with 2 Tri-Attacks. And ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it. Of course, we do some weird stuff after this. We talk and do some stuff with the Power of Friendship, and we defeat Turo and his Pokemon, and he goes bye-bye. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the journey. We completed the game as Sada. Thank you all for watching. If you want to suggest any other characters we can play as, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will be seeing you guys in the next video. Peace out, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.